So I'll share with you a story to start. I was on holiday, and our head of service phoned me last year, and she said to me, "Rov, do you remember that transaction we did into Nigeria?" So I said, "Yeah, it was a big transaction. Everybody knew it was going on." So she said to me, "Well, it's been 6 months since the transaction." It was like it had been ages. I couldn't even, basically it was gone. And she said, "I just want to tell you what happened was we made a forex gain on the transaction, and I just want to confirm with you that we're going to keep it." There was a bit of a back and forth with the client at the time because the exchange rates were fluctuating tremendously, and we didn't want to take a risk on the exchange. So we buffered our forex margin so it would make sure that we'd be okay, because we knew, first of all, that the rates were changing, but the money would be out, and it was. The money was out of our hands for 6 months. So we paid the Nigerian tax authorities when the goods went in at their rate, which is also their sell rate, whatever it is, always at a bad rate. And then when we got the taxes back, it could be 6 months later. We don't know what the rate's going to be at that time. We have to convert it back to dollars and send it back to the client, whatever. So we buffered it. And at the time, it was a big contentious issue because the buffering was big, and the client wasn't happy at all. They nearly never went ahead with the transaction. But in the end, one guy said to him, don't worry, we've got to do this. No ways of going ahead with the transaction without it, but we can sort it out at the end if it comes out, grob. And they went ahead with the transaction. The client happens in the interim, in those 6 months, to have gone bankrupt. So there's the guy that we dealt with is not there anymore. And it was, conversations that we had that we'd come back to it afterwards if we were unhappy. And we're going to keep it. So I was on holiday. Like, when the money's in the hands, it's very hard. So I said, "Look, it sounds reasonable enough. It sounds okay. Let me just don't do anything yet. We'll sit down properly when I come back from holiday." So I just want to paint the scenario. The guy we dealt with is gone. He is gone. I don't know where he works anymore. The company is bust. It's now in the hands of liquidators who we do not know who they are. The liquidators will go through all the transaction history. They'll see the invoice we sent. They'll see the amounts. They'll see that they pay everything. The auditors will give it the greenest tick you could ever imagine. Felt good. Felt fine. Anyway, I came back, and I called her and our person who was like the head of sales who was involved in the transaction. I said, "Just want to have one more look at it before you bank the money. Just want to show me, was this conversations that they had over the phone? Like, you said to him, 'Don't worry, I'll sort you out at the end if it's bad,' or was there more than that?" So she said, "There actually was a whole string of emails." So I went through the email thread. It was a long set of emails, and you can see that the client was very, very offended by the forex charge that was in the transaction. And it's in writing, my God. There was no conversation about it. In writing, he said to him, "There's no ways we're going ahead with this transaction without having the security on the money. If at the end the transaction has excessive amounts of forex gains on it, we will sit together and square off the amounts properly." That email is in Netherlands. No one knows about that email at that company or liquidators besides us. So I said, "There's no ways we're keeping that money." It's in writing. He told him in writing that he's going to refund him if it's bad. And it's true the guy's gone, but that money is not ours. It's very frustrating. That's going to go to a liquidator. But there are creditors in that business who actually this money is theirs. and somehow they'll work out what percentage in the rand they're going to get. But this actually is not ours, this is theirs, and I can't hold on to that, pay them back. And they said, but Rolf, like who are we going to pay back to? I said, you'll find the liquidating company, it won't be too hard, you'll call them up and you'll tell them that you've got this gain, they'll be so happy to receive the money, you'll work it out, it won't be hard to give the money back. And we gave it back. It was very hard. Don't think it was easy. It wasn't righteous. It's hard when you have it in hand to hand it back. But we did it. Now, I want to try and share with you what drives that behavior. Because that's not... It looks like a tzaddik. It looks like you're so righteous and you want to do everything right, but it ain't. There is a wanting to keep Hashem's Torah, and there is a want to be honest. But to that extent, something else drives that. And I want to share that with you. Well, what goes on in my head when those two people are sitting around my table, that would make me do that. What would, actually, of the whole transaction, what made me very proud, all of them lost out on that, by the way, because all of their commissions were based on that transaction. They were all of them had skin in the game. There was a lot of people along the line who lost out because that money went back. But what made me incredibly proud about the whole thing actually was that they actually told me. That, for me, was something special because I would never have known. It was mixed in all the numbers of all the transactions. It was 6 months ago. I would never, ever have known. But we've instilled the culture in the business where they had an icky feeling inside that I'd be very unhappy, perhaps, if this money was kept. And they knew to bring that to me, even though it was at their own expense. That was something that was actually the most special part of the whole thing for me. And when we decided to give it back, nobody asked any questions. I understood that's the way we do it, and that's the way we go. So what drives that? So I want to just tell you, I'm a simple guy, but I really believe in the Torah. And when I read things, I don't think, oh, that will be a good thing to say at my Shabbos table. When I read it, it is like Hashem speaking to me and teaching me what He wants from me. I really believe it. And that shapes everything that I'm doing in my business, in my life, is from there. Sometimes you can keep it, sometimes you don't, but it's real, and I really believe it. So I want to share with you, again, I say I'm a simple guy because it's not like complicated Kabbalistic secrets that I'm going to share with you. It's just Chumash Rashi. It's nothing fancy at all. Just take it very seriously. So you can open up your Chumash if you have one. It's in Devarim, chapter 25, Chaf Hey, verse 13. It says like this. You'll all know, I'm sure you'll know it roundabout-ish. But it says, Lo yeh lecha bekischa even ve'oven. You should not have in your pocket a stone and a stone, a weighing measure and a weighing measure. Gedola, a katana, a big one and a small one. Lo yeh beveischa eifa ve'eifa. You shouldn't have a measuring instrument in your house, 2 of them. Gedola, katana, a big one and a small one. Rashi explains that the big one and the small one is you buy with the big one and you sell with the small one. So when you're weighing up your stock that you want to buy from the guy, you put your big weight in front of it. It says 1 kilo, but it's actually not 1 kilo, it's a little bit more. So when he gives you a kilo of grains, he's actually giving you a little bit more. And when you sell, you put the little one on the measure, so you don't give him a full kilo. And in that way, you get extra margin on your transactions. Every buy, you get more purchase. And when you sell less stock. So you're not allowed to have two. You buy with the same one that you sell with, and you transact in the same way. Even shleima v'tzedek yelach, eifa shleima v'tzedek yelach. You should have a perfect weight and a perfect measure. Leman yarichu yamecha al ha'adoma she'Hashem Elokecha noisen lach, in order that you should get long life in the land that Hashem gave you. Because it's disgusting to God. Anybody who does this, anybody who perverts justice like this. Okay? Just first of all, who doesn't want long life? All want to live long. So what are you doing? You're exercising, you're eating well, keeping your weight up. Hashem says, I'll give you long life. You don't be honest. No, that's too hard. I'd rather do the exercise, pills, vitamins, that type of. She says, I'm the one who's in control of life here and length of days. If you want life, long life, be honest. Trade honestly. Don't have two weights, one to buy and one to sell. That's not the way you get a long life. Do you want to be beloved to me? Hashem says. You want a relationship with me? Be honest. Because I'm revolted by people who are dishonest. That's what it says. If you want a long life, have straight measures. Because it's disgusting to meet people who behave dishonestly in their endeavors. Hashem gives a very clear, simple message to every guy doing Chumash Rashi every single day of the Parsha. There's nothing complicated about that. Okay? But Rashi, there's a Rashi here. It's based on the Gemara in Baba Basra. The verse says, you should not have in your pocket a stone and a stone. You should not have in your house a measure and a measure. A perfect stone and a perfect stone you should have, and a perfect measure you should have. It's the very verbose language that the Pasuk uses, and the Gemara darshans out. Rashi brings it right here. It says, Lo yiyeh lecha. So the pasuk, when it opens up in Yud Gimel, it says, Lo yiyeh lecha bekischa. There should not be in your pocket even v'oven. What does it mean? There will not be for you in your pocket. He says, Rashi says, Imosisakach. If you do this, if you put different weights in your pockets, Lo yiyeh lecha klum. You will have nothing in the end. Do you know what financial demise is? Start with 2 weights in your pockets, and Hashem will ensure your financial demise. And then the pasuk says, Even Shleima, continuing in the Rashi, V'tzedek yiyeh loch, a perfect weight and an honest weight there should be to you. Rashi says, why does it say there should be to you? Imasisakach, if you do this, yiyeh lach harbe, you're going to prosper financially. That's it. Simple. So it's Rashi, it's a Gemara, but you don't need to know the Gemaras. You don't need to be a Talmud Chacham and know Shashas to know Chumash Rashi. Rashi says, in these psukim it tells you that if you trade honestly, that is the source of financial blessing. And if you trade dishonestly, you will have nothing in the end. So you can have the money in hand, but it is not yours. And you can hold on to that money, no problem. But that will be the source of your financial demise. So it feels like you got something, but you're just losing everything. That's throwing the whole business away. The success of the business, the blessing of the business, the partnership of Hashem in your business, His interest in your endeavors, His desire to bless you, comes from the honesty with which you trade. Now, when you know that, You want to throw that money straight back at the client. You don't want anything to do with it. That is the temptation of destruction of the business sitting in my hand. And as hard as it is to let go of, I really believe that Rashi means what the Torah means, and the Gemara is true, that if I hold on to this, I will lose. Everyone will be happy today, but down the line, we will lose. So it's true, I do want to keep Hashem's Torah. And I do want to do the best that I can, but it's usually just not enough. It's not enough to restrain yourself from those temptations and to be honest in the things which nobody knows about. Nobody will find out. Nobody will catch you. It will make no difference to anybody. What keeps you honest in those situations, I can tell you, your pure fromness won't work. But this Rashi keeps me in check. This pasuk keeps me in check because I believe it. And if I keep that, I've just opened the door to my own financial demise. Why would I do that? So actually, it's very challenging, but also very easy to give the money back, and then you don't think about it again, because you know Hashem put on your table a temptation to see if you'll remain loyal to His Torah. And when you get blessed later on, I always look back and think, it was because of that. Because of that. I was honest enough to give it back. Those were hard, challenging things. But I wanted just to emphasize, and I'm not ashamed of this, but what makes you exceptional in your honesty is the Yetzer Hara. All right, Errol. Well, we learned together. Hashem saw everything He created. V'hinei tov ma'od. Tov is the Yetzer Tov. Ma'od. It's the Yetzer Hara. What makes you scrupulously, honesty from the Yetzer Tov, but scrupulously honest? The desire for financial prosperity, for the business to succeed. That's what actually keeps you 100% committed to what you're doing. There's a baseline of goodness there, but it doesn't go all the way. What makes you brilliant in your avodas Hashem is actually this desire for financial success, which we would call, it's categorized in the Yetzer Hara category. But it has a powerful impact on your service to Hashem. Powerful. This instruction from Hashem is repeated. This is the second time here in Devarim. But if you go to Vayikra, this is, I wouldn't like to end with this, but we may have to. But in Vayikra, in Yud Tes, Hashem says it again, Parshas Kedoshim, Perek Yud Tes, Pasuk Lamed Hay. So the verse says as follows: Lo yisasu avil b'mishpat. Don't pervert justice in court, in your dealings. Bamida, bamishkal, ubamasura. In the way you measure, in the way you weigh, and in the way you pour out liquids. Again, Hashem says, don't be dishonest in the way you measure things out. Moiznei tzedek, avnei tzedek, eifat tzedek, vehin tzedek yeh lachem. Honest scales, honest weights, honest measuring instruments as you should have. Ani Hashem Elokeichem asher tzaysicha eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim. I'm Hashem, your God, who took you out of Egypt. So again, the Torah implores us to be honest, and Hashem says at the end of that, I'm Hashem who took you out of Egypt. There's two things that I want to share with you here. Let's start off with the business one and we'll end with the other. But Rashi's bothered by why everybody should be bothered. What's coming out of Egypt got to do with being honest in your weights and measures? So Rashi says as follows: Asher hotzeisi eschem. I'm the one who took you out. Al menaskein. First of all, that was my condition. My condition, that's his first pshat, is the reason why I took you out was conditional on the fact that you will deal honestly in business. That was the fundamental agreement that we had, that you'll deal honestly. Good? Davar acher. An alternate pshat, says Rashi, that's what I want to focus on. Ani hivchanti b'Mitzrayim, bein tippa shel bechor letippa she'ena shel bechor. I was the one who differentiated between the droplet that created a firstborn and the droplet that didn't create a firstborn. In the death of the firstborn, the last plague, Hashem said, I differentiated between the most minute, unidentified by the human eye differentiations in order to exact punishment on the Mitzrim. Va'ani hane'eman lipora, and therefore I am reliable to punish mimi shetoimen mishkaloisav b'melach, the person who buries his weight in salt. Lohoinus esabrios, to take advantage of the customers that are coming to purchase from him. She'ain makirin bahem, and they won't know the difference. So Rashi explains, what is the dishonesty that Hashem is revolted by? 10 million rand. No. He says he's revolted by the person who takes a 1 kilogram weight and he stores it in a salt container. Now, Tzemach is exactly what the salt did. Did it suck out some of the moisture and so therefore it reduced the weight of the 1 kilogram weight, or did it actually add into the weight? But whatever it did, when you whipped out that 1 kilogram weight, everybody knew it was like a standard, like if I give you a 100 rand coin, a 100 rand note, everybody knows what a 100 rand note is. When you whipped out the standard 1 kilogram weight, everybody knew that was the 1 kg, but they didn't know that you'd been soaking it in salt. So when you put it on the scale and you weighed out your grains, you gave him, let's go with Rashi, you get a little bit less, okay, sucked out the moisture, whatever, and just said, how much less was it than a kilo? I mean, how much could you get out with the salt? Huh? Fraction. Rashi says no one will know. No one will know. Just like the tip of the bechor, no one will know. That quantity Hashem is revolted by. That you could brazenly, actively, intentionally try and steal from a person a fraction of a gram. I will exact punishment, says Hashem. I know what's going on. I know what happened. And this Rashi for me, this is incredible. It says, where does Hashem speak? Why does he tell you, I'm the God that took you out of Egypt? Because I want you to know it's in the area where nobody will know. Nobody will notice. No one's going to pick it up. It's going to go undetected, unaudited. No one's going to see. And the amount could be tiny. Hashem says, that's what revolts me. That's what pushes me out of your business. That's what makes me want you not to succeed in your business. And Rashi says, if you want to know what's the cause, one of the main drivers of a person's success and failure in their business, it's just these psukim. Deal honestly, you'll have. Deal dishonestly, you'll end up with nothing. And who will make sure that that happens? Hashem. There's a fascinating thing. I had a lot more to say, but anyway, that's the way it goes. But just on the topic, this pasuk is amazing. But it says, the opening verse of this part, the opening word says, Lo sasu avil b'mishpat. You shouldn't do dishonesty in court. It means actually in court. But Rashi says, if you read the Rashi, im l'dayin, if this is talking about a judge, harek fanem, it's already said that about a judge. Lo tasu avil b'mishpat. It's another pasuk, explicit pasuk, which says, don't paskin halachas as crookedly in court. So you don't say it again. Umahu mishpat hashanu ikan. So what is here the mishpat that's been spoken about here? Yamida v'mishka v'masura. It's the measurements and the weights that that a business person is weighing out. Melamed shamoida nikradain. When you trade and you're moving goods from one and cash to another, you are fulfilling the role of a judge in this world. They make sure that the possessions go to the right person. He says, the Torah is telling you that trader is doing as significant a transaction as a judge who's paskening on a case. Carry out. Im shikr b'mida, and if you lie in that transaction, Harayu kamakalkalas, then you're like a judge who purposefully paskined wrong in the case and put money into the wrong person's hands. V'koroi, and now he comes with his whole list. And such a person in the Torah, there's sources for what the Torah calls a judge that perverts justice. He's called Ovel, Sonoi, Meshuketz, Chayrem, Te'av. The worst names you could call a person. A dishonest, hateful, revolting, set aside, disgusting human being. That's the names that Hashem gives to this person. Now, hold tight. That's not the worst of it. That's just the start of it. It doesn't do this. V'goyrem lechamisha dvarim ha'amurim b'dayin. This dishonest businessman brings into the world the 5 things that a dishonest judge brings into the world. Metame'es ha'aretz, you make the land impure. Mechalel es Hashem, you desecrate God's name. Mesalek es Hashchina, you cause Hashem to leave the world. Umapel es Yisrael bechorev, you put the Jewish people to war. Umegala oisam artzam, and chas v'sholem, you end up exiling them from their land. This honesty in business has not only my own little private world that it affects. The psukim we learned before, it's that it affects your financial destiny is dependent on how honestly you keep Hashem's Torah in your business transaction. But this has big, big world effects. You send the Jewish people into war. Your enemies start attacking you. You end up getting sent out of Eretz Yisrael. Why? Dishonest businessmen. Now, I just want to say, we in very difficult, challenging times, the Jewish people. And I don't say reasons why or what things, I have no clue of those things. But I can tell you, if we were agonizing about how to bring an end to this war, I don't think anybody thinks about this Rashi. Let's be honest in business. Now, your desire to live in Eretz Yisrael, to live in safety and security, to have a long life, to live in peace, to prosper financially, those will make you into a tzaddik. Not the other way around. They will drive you to be honest in your business in an exceptional way that no other people would. Now, Yetzer Tov takes us so far. We have good intentions, we have good motivations, but the temptations come in our life and they make everything grey. What makes you exceptional is actually in the end that Yetzer Hara, that desire for financial prosperity, can keep you in line in a way that no Yetzer Tov has a hand on. Those two together are the most incredible recipe for honesty in business, and honesty in business is the recipe for financial prosperity.